All right, welcome everyone. We're diving into something pretty cool today, getting you prepped for a stamping press operator interview.
hmm
Helping you really nail it and get that job.
Sounds like a plan.
And we've got some really awesome resources for this from RoleCatcher. It's a platform that's all about helping people, navigate their careers and job searches.
Ah,
They've got these career guides and interview guides, and they're just packed with practical advice and insights.
real world stuff, which is what you need.
Exactly. But before we get to all the cool AI stuff that they have, let's break down what a stamping press operator actually does.
Okay.
It's more than just pushing buttons.
Hmm.
These folks work with some seriously powerful machinery, shaping metal into these really precise parts. They use dies
Hmm.
and a stamping ram.
Right?
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
The intricate components in your car, even parts for airplanes. A lot of them start out as just flat sheets of metal, and it's these skilled operators who transform them.
Yeah, it's a really interesting blend of precision, technical skill, and a sharp eye for detail. And knowing that really helps you understand the kinds of questions they'll ask in an interview for this kind of job.
So let's just jump right into those questions then.
Let's do it.
RoleCatcher's interview guide is just loaded with examples, and we're going to unpack how to, just knock them out of the park.
Sounds good.
So first up, can you describe your experience with stamping press operation?
Okay, so this one is all about gauging your practical knowledge, right? They want to know what types of presses you've worked with, the specific materials you've handled, maybe even some standout projects you've been a part of.
Right. So it's not just listing the duties from your resume. It's about thinking about those times you went above and beyond, like, did you ever spot a potential issue with a die before it turned into a major problem?
Exactly, yeah.
Or maybe you found a way to make a process more efficient and streamline things.
Those are great examples. It's all about showcasing your expertise, not just, like you said, rattling off job duties. Now, here's a possible follow-up. What are some of the challenges you faced while operating a stamping press? And how did you overcome them?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's like they're digging deeper into your problem-solving skills.
Exactly. They're looking for someone who can think on their feet, right? Someone who can troubleshoot effectively. So be ready with a specific example, something that shows you can analyze a situation, come up with solutions, and then actually implement them successfully.
Okay, let's move on to another question that they love to ask. How do you ensure safety for yourself and others while operating the press?
Huge one in manufacturing.
Absolutely. They want to see that you prioritize safety, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you.
Right.
So this is a good time to mention, specific procedures that you follow, like lockout, tagout protocols, using the right PPE, that's personal protective equipment, maybe even things like keeping your work area clean and organized to prevent accidents.
Yeah, it's not just about knowing the rules. It's about showing them that safety is just like a part of who you are as a worker.
Right, it's like ingrained in your work ethic.
Yeah.
Okay, here's where things get kind of interesting. How do you troubleshoot issues with stamping press equipment?
Ah, the problem-solving question. Love it. They want to know how you approach a machine that's not working right. And this is where you really get to shine, show off your technical expertise.
Right, so instead of just saying, I checked the manual, which is probably true,
Yeah.
walk them through your process.
Yeah.
Mention things like, okay, first, I try to figure out what's wrong by watching how the machine's acting. Then I check the troubleshooting guide, look for common issues like problems with sensors, pressure that's off, stuff like that.
Exactly. And sprinkle in examples from your actual experience. Did you ever solve a problem that really stumped other people? Or maybe you found a clever workaround that saved time and kept things running smoothly.
Those details are what make you stand out. It shows you can handle real-world challenges. And speaking of real-world, RoleCatcher's AI can be a total game changer when it comes to tailoring your answers to specific job roles.
Right, right. Like having this personalized coach who looks at the job description, picks out the keywords and skills the employer's after, and then tells you how to work those into your answers so they really hit home.
So for instance, let's say the job description emphasizes attention to detail,
Okay.
and you're answering that troubleshooting question. You could say something like, I carefully checked each part to find the problem.
Exactly. It's all about matching what you can do with what the employer actually wants. Perfect.
All right, back to the questions. Let's talk quality control. How do you ensure that stamped parts meet quality standards?
Okay.
It's all about precision and attention to detail here, right?
Absolutely. They want to see that you understand how important it is to hit those exact specs and that you've got the skills to do it consistently.
So instead of just saying, I use measuring tools, You got to get specific. Talk about your experience with calipers, micrometers,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe even optical comparators if you've used those.
Right, right. And don't forget to mention your approach to quality control. Do you check every single part or do you use statistical process control methods?
Right.
If you can show, these techniques, it can really set you apart.
And what about follow-up questions? Like,
Yeah.
what if they ask, have you ever run into a situation where a bunch of parts didn't meet the quality standards? How did you handle it?
That's a great one, yeah. It's a chance to show off your problem-solving skills again, but also your dedication to quality. So be prepared to talk about the situation, what you did to figure out what went wrong, the steps you took to fix it, and how you prevented it from happening again.
It's about taking ownership and being committed to delivering top-notch work.
For sure.
Okay, let's move on to a question about managing your workload. How do you prioritize your workload when operating multiple stamping presses? This is all about organization efficiency.
Right, definitely. They want to know if you can keep up in a busy environment, if you can juggle multiple tasks and keep those presses going.
So how would you approach this one?
I'd think about how I stay organized. Do I focus on tasks based on how urgent they are, how complex they are, their deadlines? Do I group similar jobs together to save time on setup?
Right. And maybe you've got experience with like production scheduling software or other tools that help you stay on top of things. Sharing that can really impress them.
Yeah, and don't be shy about mentioning your communication skills here. Keeping everyone in the loop and working well together is key to keeping things running smoothly.
Excellent points.
Yeah.
Let's tackle some more of these questions after a quick break.
Sounds good to me. Okay, so, more questions, right? Let's dive back into those.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of preparation, this next question is all about a really important skill for any stamping press operator. How do you lead and train new operators?
Yeah, this is where you get to show off your mentoring and leadership qualities. They're not just looking for someone who can run the press themselves. They want someone who can show others how to do it and do it safely and effectively. Think back to times when you've helped out your colleagues or maybe even trained new hires.
It's a great opportunity to showcase those soft skills that are so important when you're working in a team. So like, how would you approach training someone on a complex machine like a stamping press?
I think it's all about breaking it down, taking those complex tasks and turning them into manageable steps. You start with the basics, like all the safety protocols and the different parts of the machine. Then you can gradually introduce the more advanced techniques as they get comfortable. Clear communication is super important here, and patience, and being able to give constructive feedback, in a way that helps them learn.
And what about follow-up questions? They might ask something like, have you ever had a trainee who is really struggling with a certain concept?
Yeah.
How did you adjust your teaching style to help them get it?
That's a good one, and it really shows you're thinking like a mentor. It's all about recognizing that people learn in different ways. So maybe you tried using visual aids or doing some hands-on demonstrations. Maybe you even paired them with a more seasoned operator for a bit. The key is to show them that you're flexible and you're dedicated to helping people learn.
So we've talked about training new operators, but what about your own career aspirations? They might ask you about your long-term goals, even for an entry-level job like this.
It's a good idea to be prepared for that. They want to see that you're ambitious and that you're thinking about how you can grow with the company. And remember that career guide we mentioned?
Yep.
It actually outlines some potential career paths for stamping press operators.
That's right. So you could move into a supervisory role, maybe become a production supervisor or a quality control manager. Or you could specialize in a particular area of stamping, like robotics or automation. It's really cool to see the options.
Yeah. So when you're answering that question, connect your goals to those possibilities. Show them that you're not just looking for a job. You're looking to build a whole career.
And don't forget to mention that you're passionate about learning and growing. The manufacturing world is constantly changing with all these new technologies and techniques popping up. Show them you're ready to stay ahead of the curve.
Speaking of technology, let's circle back to RoleCatcher's AI for a minute.
Okay.
It's not just about giving you sample answers. It can actually help you, personalize your responses based on the specific job that you're going for.
It's like having that secret weapon in your back pocket, right?
Exactly.
How does that actually work?
Well, RoleCatcher's AI looks at the job description, pulls out those key skills and keywords, and then it gives you suggestions on how to work them into your answers. And get this, it can even analyze your responses and give you feedback. Like, it can tell you if you're being clear and concise, if you're staying on topic, all that good stuff.
So, like, if a job description emphasizes problem-solving skills, the AI might suggest adding a story about a time you successfully troubleshooted a difficult issue with a stamping press.
Exactly. It's about fine-tuning your answers to really hit the mark, making them super relevant to what that specific employer wants.
It's like having a personalized interview coach, but like, in an app.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Okay, let's get back to the questions. Let's say they ask you about dealing with pressure or stressful situations. Something like, tell me about a time you faced a challenging situation at work and how you handled it.
Right, a classic behavioral question. They want to know if you can stay cool under pressure. So they're trying to assess your composure, your resilience. They want to know how you handle those high-pressure moments because they're going to happen.
For sure. So think back to a time when you had to make a tough decision, or maybe you had to deal with a difficult coworker or even navigate a production error.
Yeah.
What was going on? How did you approach it? And what did you learn from the experience?
Wow. It's not about pretending you're perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. It's about showing that you can stay calm, think clearly, and take action when things get tough. And don't forget to highlight what you learned from that experience, how you've grown because of it.
All right, let's tackle another one of those behavioral questions. This is a common one. Have you ever had to deal with a difficult coworker or supervisor? How did you handle the situation?
Ah, yes. This one is all about your interpersonal skills, how you handle conflict. They want to see that you can communicate effectively, work well with others, and stay professional even when things get a little heated.
So how do you answer that without, bad-mouthing anyone?
Right. Focus on what you did to address the situation. Maybe you sat down with the person and talked things through, or maybe you asked a more experienced colleague for advice. Or maybe you found a way to compromise.
The key is to show them your communication skills, that you're willing to find solutions, and that you can keep those working relationships positive even when things are tough.
Yeah, exactly. And be prepared for follow-up questions like, what did you learn from that? Or how did that experience shape the way you approach teamwork? They want to know how you've grown from these situations.
Okay, before we move on, let's just take a quick moment to recap what we've talked about so far. We've explored what a stamping press operator does, dived into the technical side of things, and we've tackled some of those tough interview questions, both technical and behavioral.
Yeah, and we've highlighted how those AI-powered tools from RoleCatcher can give you a real advantage in your interview prep. They can help you tailor your answers and practice your delivery so you feel confident and ready.
Ready for the final stretch? We'll be right back to wrap things up and give you that extra boost of confidence for your big interview. Okay, we're back. Ready to finish strong with our stamping press operator interview prep.
Absolutely. We've covered a lot, but let's talk about those extra things that can really help you make a great impression and get that job.
Sounds good. What do you have in mind?
Well, first up, enthusiasm. I know it sounds simple, but even in a technical field like manufacturing, showing that you're genuinely interested, excited even, about the work, it can make a big difference.
Right, like your passion is contagious, sort of.
Exactly. Remember, stamping is essential to so many industries. Cars, airplanes, everyday stuff. If you can show them that you get it, you understand how important this work is, and you're eager to be a part of it, that's going to make a positive impact.
It's about showing them you're not just there for a paycheck, you really want to contribute.
Exactly. And speaking of showing them something, let's talk about research.
Okay, you mean researching the company?
Yes. Doing your homework. Don't just walk in there knowing how to operate a press. Take some time to learn about the company itself. What do they make? What are their values? Have they had any big achievements lately?
It shows you're proactive.
Right.
And that you're genuinely interested in them, not just any old stamping press job.
Exactly. And that research can actually help you come up with some insightful questions to ask them, which is what we're talking about next, asking thoughtful questions at the end of the interview.
It's your turn to get information, to show them you were really paying attention, and it's a chance to leave a lasting impression.
Right, so RoleCatcher actually suggests having a few questions ready beforehand, questions you came up with based on your research.
Like what kinds of questions?
Well, for example, you could ask about their training programs, their professional development opportunities. Maybe they have programs where you can learn advanced techniques or even robotics. Or you could ask about, opportunities for growth within the company. Show them you're thinking long term.
Oh, I like that. What about asking about the specific challenges of the role? That shows you're already thinking about how to be successful there.
Exactly. It's all about showing them that you're curious, you're proactive, and you're ready to learn and grow.
Okay, before we wrap up, let's touch on RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools one last time. We've talked about them throughout the episode, but it's worth repeating how helpful they can be.
Absolutely. Remember, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the job description, it picks out those important skills and keywords, and then it gives you suggestions for how to incorporate them into your answers. It's amazing.
Yeah, and don't forget about the interview practice feature. You can actually record yourself answering questions and then get feedback from the AI on your delivery, your body language, your overall performance.
It's such a valuable tool for fine-tuning your answers and boosting your confidence before the big day.
So to wrap up, we've gone over a lot in this deep dive. We talked about technical skills, troubleshooting, those sometimes tricky behavioral questions, and career path that you can take. And of course, we explored how RoleCatcher's AI tools can give you a real edge when it comes to interview prep.
We've given you a lot to think about, but here's one final thought-provoking question for you as you get ready for that interview. How can you leverage your unique strengths and experiences to stand out from the crowd and make a lasting impression?
It's not just about knowing the technical stuff, it's about showing them who you are.
Exactly. And with that, we wish you the very best of luck in your interview and in your future career as a stamping press operator.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.